Okay, so the first problem says that a water balloon is catapulted into the air so that its height, and its height is listed as h for height, and the units are meters. So the height's in meters after t seconds. So t is seconds here. T is the time, it's in seconds. And then there's your function. So this is your function. So I'm going to write this function out. So number one, you're told h of t is negative 4.9 t squared plus 27t plus 2.4. All right, so that's your function. You had functions on a previous worksheet. And on that previous worksheet, you evaluated functions. I think that was one that's due tonight, where to evaluate some functions, right? So in number one, they want you to find and interpret h of 2.1. So on the previous worksheet, what did h of 2.1, what did you have to do to find h of 2.1? Yeah, wherever you see the variable t, would you plug in? What would you plug in? 2.1. All right, so now in these cases, since there are decimals involved, just use your calculator. So you have negative 4.9 times t, which is 2.1, but I'm squaring that, plus 27 times 2.1, and then plus 2.4. Okay? All right, now let's use a calculator on this. As you read it, you type what you see. So I get negative 4.9 times, in parentheses, 2.1, and that's being squared, plus 27 times, in parentheses, 2.1, close the parentheses, plus 2.4. So if you use your calculator, you should have gotten 37.491. 37.491. And so that's what you would have done on that worksheet you turned in, right? But now they want you to interpret what this means in terms of the context of the problem. So if you go back and you look at the wording, so remember h stands for the height, and it's in meters, and t stands for the time, and it's in seconds, right? Okay, so here's how you would say this. You would say after 2.1 seconds, because that's the time, the height of the balloon is, and then what is it? 37.491, but the units, what are the units for height? No, not its problem. It's in what? Meters. Meters. Okay, so that's number one. That's all you did. Now the first part wasn't difficult because they told you to find h of what? 2.1. And you knew what to do with that. You know what to do with finding h of 2.1. Okay, number two. All right, number two, this time you're told that a small independent motion picture company determines the profit, and profit is P here, for producing in DVD copies of a recent release is this. So P of N equals negative 0.02 N squared plus 3.4 N minus 16. So we have this quadratic function. And how do you know that this is quadratic? Because the largest exponent you see is what? 2. Okay, that's why. All right, and this time they want you to find this now. It says find and interpret P of 3. Now I didn't finish reading the problem, but here's what the rest of the problem says. So it says where P is the profit, and it's in thousands of dollars, okay? And N is in thousands of units. All right. So, for example, suppose, and just to suppose you find that P. Suppose I'm making this up, so it's not true. Suppose that P of 5 equals 6. All right. P of 5 equals 6. Suppose you plug in 5 and you get this, right? If I interpret this, remember 5 stands for which letter? N. Okay? So 5 is the number of units. So N is the number of units. But remember, the number of units is also in what? Thousands. So this is not really 5 units. This is what? 5,000 units. So you would say, in this case, you would say the profit for 5,000 units is, and it's not $6, it's what? 6,000, because in the problem it says that the profit's in what? Thousands of dollars. So that's $6,000. Okay? So notice sometimes they'll have those extra units in there, so to speak. All right, so that's how you would read that. Okay, so let's go ahead and actually do number 2. So number 2, though, they want you to find P of 3. Well, where we see the variable N, what do you plug in? 3. Not 3,000. 3, right? 3. But N really means 3,000, but you really just substitute what? 3. So you're going to get negative 0.02 times 3 squared plus 3.4 times 3 minus 16. All right, and so when you plug that back into your calculator, you're going to get, let's see, negative 0.02 times 3 squared plus 3.4 times 3, 3.4 times 3 minus 16. If you did this, you got something like maybe negative 5.98. Okay, that's what you got there. Now notice this time the profit looks negative, right? So you're actually losing money. And there could be reasons why your profit margin could be negative. Okay, but the interpretation would be this. You would say not 3 units, but you say the profit for selling actually it's not selling, it's producing, isn't it? The profit for producing, let me change that, because selling and producing are different things. Selling is where you actually sell something, produce is where you make it. Do you necessarily sell it? No. So the profit for producing 3,000 units is a loss of $5.98 thousand. So the profit of producing 3,000 units is going to be a loss. And what's going to be the loss? About $6,000?
So I have to put the negative.
No, because I used the word loss. Yeah, so her question is, did you have to put the negative? No, because I used what word? Loss. I used the word loss. So what that probably means is that remember when you have a business and you sell and you produce and sell things, you got to think about, if you produce too much, you have to pay for what you produce. So if you produce too much, people may not buy that many. So you may have a loss. So that's probably what's occurring here. I don't know, but that could be a possibility, that you produce too many of these things and there's not a demand for it. So you're already at a loss. All right, number 3. Okay, number 3, it says the cost of producing X coolers. The cost of producing X coolers is modeled by this equation. Here's the equation. So C of X equals 0.005 X squared minus 0.3 X plus 17. And then it's asking you, though, find the cost of producing 100 coolers. Find the cost of producing 100 coolers. Now, let's go back to number 1. So in numbers 1 and 2, we actually said find H of what? 2.1. In number 2, we said find P of what? 3. But in number 3, it doesn't say anything like that. But the phrase, the sentence, find the cost of producing 100 units, what does that really tell you to do? Find what? Find, I'm wanting you to write it like we did here. H of 2.1, P of 3. Find what?
So C of 100.
C of 100. Good, thank you. So you're going to find C of 100. That's what you want to find. Okay? All right, so how do you find C of 100? Yep, so we get 0.005 times 100 squared minus 0.3 times 100 plus 17. So in your calculator, let's see, 0.005 times 100 squared minus 0.3 times 100 plus 17. What you'll get? 37. Now, remember, these problems were made up, so, I mean, it is possible, because remember, when producing certain items is not, doesn't probably cost, it doesn't cost as much as what you pay for them. Like that new iPhone that's coming out, where you pay, did they have that little thing yet? Apple?
The Apple event? You talking about
Yeah, the Apple event.
No, not yet.
It wasn't today?
I thought it was today. But anyway, so they were supposed to show what their new product is. So you know that you pay $1,000 for this item, but does it cost $1,000 to make? No, I don't. Probably a lot less. I'm not going to say how much it costs, but it also depends on the country where they produce those things, right? Cheap labor. So let's say it cost them $300. You're paying $1,000 for it, so their profit's $700, and that's probably what's happening here. So it says in this case, the cost of producing. Now that's producing, that's not selling, right? Cost of producing 100 coolers is $37. So for 100 coolers, it costs them $37, but they're going to sell it to you. 100 coolers is probably going to cost you a lot more than $37. Because remember, they're in a business to make money. It's like when you go to get gas, you know, they doesn't cost $2 to produce a gallon of gas. Half of that's probably taxes. It's not really half, but there's quite a bit of taxes in gas. All right, number 4. All right, this time you have this function f of x is negative 0.2x plus 1. What kind of function is this? This is quadratic or linear? That one's linear. Good. All right, so this function right here represents So that function represents the percent of battery life, of battery power remaining, X hours. So X hours, so X is the number of hours after you turn the laptop computer on. Determine the percent of battery power remaining after 3.2 hours of turning the laptop on. So what is you going to find? Find what? Find what? But how are you going to write? You're going to say find what? F of 3.2. Because that's what X is, right? X is 3.2. So remember, X is the number of hours after you turn it on. So the question is, what percent of the battery is left after 3.2 hours? That's the question. So where you see the variable X, what do you plug in? 3.2. So you're going to get like 0.36?
Yeah.
All right. 0.36. All right. Now remember, the function F stands for the percent of battery life, right? So how do you convert a decimal to percent? Do you remember? You move the decimal point 2 places to the right. So 0.36 is really what percent? 36%. Okay. So you would say after 3.2 hours, 36% of the battery remains. Battery life. All right, something like that. All right, so after 3.2 hours, there's 36% battery life remaining. All right, and then number 5. So the number 5, you're told that the yearly cost of tuition is given by this function. So f of x equal 53.6x plus 1029.34. You're also told this. You're told this, though. You're told where x is the number of years. So x stands for years, but it's a number of years after what year? 2009. And f of x, so remember f of x stands for y, if you want to think of it that way, is the total cost. The question is, though, find the cost for attending a 2-year college in 2018. So in 2018, what was the cost? So, nope. What does X represent? Number of years after 2009. You're going to plug in 9 because 2018 is how many years after 2009? 9. So you're not going to plug in 2018 because that would represent you went almost 2,000 years after. I don't know if I want to live 2,000 years. All right, so it's 9. So basically, you subtract 2009 from 2018. So X in this case would be 9 years, right? Because 2018 is 9 years after 2009. So you just said 2018 minus 2009, and you get 9. But what is it you got to find? You got to find what? F of 9. That's what you got to find. So where we see the variable x, you're going to plug in 9. So I got 53.6 times 9 plus 1029.34. And in your calculator, what'd you get? 11.74. Right. So if you interpret that, that means in 2018, don't say in 9 years, just actually say the year. So in 2018, the cost of attending is what? $1,111.74? No?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So 11511.74. So $1,511.71. So you said 53.6. That's 53.6 times 9 plus 1,029.34. Okay? All right. So those 5 problems should help you with that section of my math lab. And that's all you do, is you plug in values into the variable x and you interpret. Okay? All right. So, all right. So that's, now there's no worksheet for this one. It's just my math lab. So you do those problems in my math lab.